Hey guys, it's Tombox here. Hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I got something to show you guys. This is the giveaway stuff before I get into the topic of the day. This is the mat that came in the mail, and this is a giveaway mat, of course. There is the masterpiece. I am flipped, so let's flip it back. Alright, so this is the actual mat I'm giving away. It's a cloth mat, very beautiful inking, very solid. I'm not sure, it's not going to autofocus because I turned off autofocus, but it is very solid. Here's the VFD side. Oh my god, I was really impressed with this. I'm really loving this mat, and I'm going to look forward on playing on this a couple times before I store it away to give it away. Well, not this one. This is my own. There's going to be another giveaway on a different one. Yeah, the link is down below. Definitely check it out. If you want to win this mat, check the Gleam link down below and just follow the instructions there, and then you can potentially win this mat. Do everything on there to maximize your odds. And anyways, so let's jump into today's topic of player ethics. About a year and a half ago, Oscar did do a video about player ethics and what's soft cheating and what's not. I'm going to be covering something that's a little bit more controversial in today's video. Three things. One would be the what if you see your opponent's hand, or preemptive knowledge over your opponent. The second thing is skewing the rules in your favor, or things are ruled incorrectly in your favor. Do you admit to them? And then the third thing is spectators, and that's actually something that a lot of you guys don't know. Spectators? What do we do? Well, you watch the game and we'll see what's going on. But first of all, let's talk about knowing your opponent's deck. Okay, very simple situation. If you're playing against your friend, obviously you know each other's deck. Most likely anyways, unless your friend is a douchebag who knows your deck and he won't tell you yours. Okay, in the case that you guys both know each other's deck, it's fair game to play as if you know each other's deck. Why? Because no one has knowledge advantage over the other person. You can have a deck advantage, obviously, or you can have like you know each other as a mirror match, so you can adjust accordingly because you're playing to win. I'm just talking about regional events or higher, because competitive events is where things just start to matter more. If you're playing at a locals, you can pretend you don't know, but at locals, you're definitely gonna play as if you do know, regardless. So what makes it so different at regionals? Now that's friend versus friend. Now here comes the part where it's friend, well, you versus stranger. There are multiple ways where you can gain knowledge of their deck. And I'm not talking about cheating, oh, I'm gonna look at his hand. I'm talking about, say, accidents. They're shuffling their deck and they flop their deck. You see their entire deck. Do you look or do you not look? See, it's not as simple as that, because if your opponent is cheating, like they flop their deck just so that they know that you won't look, and then they can adjust certain cards, or they'll pick something out or stack their deck right in front of you basically, and if you don't look, you won't catch it, and then you could potentially screw yourself over. So then you have to look. It's not, and then if you do look, are you cheating because you have knowledge over your opponent? Now, let's be fair about the situation. Who actually set up the situation for you to see their deck? It is your opponent. It's not like you cut their deck. If you cut your opponent's deck and then you reveal their deck, they can call a judge on you, and you potentially can get a game loss or a warning for improper, I forgot what was the term, but there is a policy rule on this. It's kind of like unsporting conduct, but it's not really. It's just procedural error, perhaps. Okay, so there's that. If it's an accident, it's an accident, and you just try to look away if you're doing it to your opponent. But if your opponent does it and it's their own deck, then I would say you should look, because you don't want to get screwed over by your opponent stacking. You don't want them to put different cards in their deck, and you have to, well, basically know what's going on. Better yet, call a judge over and let the judge fix the situation. This would be fair to everyone, and even if you gain knowledge, you didn't set it up yourself. It was their own fault, and that would be more acceptable. Now, there are other ways of gaining knowledge over your opponent's deck, which is they're wearing reflective clothing. Say they're wearing like their glasses like this, and you can see the reflection here. It's really bad. You can see their hand. Their hand is revealed. I could be holding this one card in my hand, and as you can see, the reflection here does reveal what it is. And I hate it when players wear sunglasses, like, oh, I'm gonna hide my eyes so that they can't read me. Well, I can't read your eyes, but I definitely can read your entire hand. Think about it. You're not hiding anyone. You're not fooling anyone. You're basically giving them the entire thing to look. Now, you might think, oh, what if they shouldn't look? Well, it's not fair for your opponent that you wear something that obstructs their vision. It's not fair that they can't look straight at the board because your glasses are in the way, reflecting your entire hand. That's not fair to them. And even if they do see it, do they tell you? Do they tell you like, oh, hey, dude, I can see your entire hand right now. Could you just move that piece of article away or something? Well, by telling them that, they already know your entire hand. And do I play as if I don't know your hand? What if there was like a play that I could make that generically I would make, but I would know that I would lose? But then if I make the play that would actually screw you over, am I taking advantage of your information? So here's the thing. Just don't set yourself up in a situation where your opponent can see your hand, because that's just bad. Because there's a lot of awkward questions and a lot of awkward situations that you can go into. Say they tell you, and then you get a mulligan. It's like, oh, I'll just shuffle my hand again and get a new 5 cards. So now we're both fair. Technically, no, it's not fair. Because your opponent only got to draw 5 cards and they have to live with the 5 cards. You got a mulligan, so technically you drew 10 cards and put away 5 cards. You got a free magical mallet, and that's not fair to them. Like, if your hand was a brick before and then now you got a new hand just because your opponent saw it, is that actually fair? I don't think so. But let me know what your thoughts are about seeing your opponent's hand and how to deal with it properly. Alright, so for the second thing, it's about skewing the rules. So skewing the rules definitely is talking about soft cheating. Like, many times I've seen people try to get away with when they're under certain conditions, like they can't special summon, they can't attack, they can't do a lot of things, and whose fault is it really? Now, when it comes to mandatory effects, it's up to both players to actually maintain the game state, so that if you notice that your opponent is special summoning a lot, and then basically you know they can't special summon, and you're just waiting for a point where they go way too in and they reveal way too much, but they don't go to the point where the game state is irreversible. Then they're like, hold on, you actually can't special summon. So they could be a point where the combo is really weak still, and then they tell you that. And there's two things that could happen. An accepted game state, where those special summons happen, they are there now, you have to deal with it. Or they revert the game state. Once this game state goes to a point where it's like irreparable, either both players get a game loss because no one's maintaining the game state, or you revert the game state. However, the player that played incorrectly is now at a disadvantage because they revealed their entire hand and their entire board of how they're going to play out their turn. Or if it's an accepted game state, now say they're about to go into a Dryden but they can't, and now they're stuck without that Dryden and they expended all their resources. What do you do then? Like, there are players that wait for that moment to like kind of rule shark you per se, and it's up to both players to actually maintain the game state. So note that this is something that your opponent can screw you over on. Or do you just remind your opponent right away? Because if you want to maintain integrity in the game, then you just have to tell them right away before things get out of hand. And this can happen in many ways. A judge can come over and rule in your favor. Like, they call for a ruling and then you're just unsure. Both of you are just unsure, and then they rule in your favor. But then somehow you remember that, oh, that is actually incorrect. And then do you tell the judge? You can tell the judge. The judge can obviously overturn their own ruling very, very quickly. And then be like, oh yeah, this is the reference to this rule, therefore this must happen. But instead, a lot of people just don't do it. They're like, oh, it's in my favor now. So the judge ruled it in my favor, so I'm going to win now. It's not even about Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. It's about winning. And you're not exactly winning fairly either. A lot of people I know, like, they do prefer to kind of own up to the wrong ruling, and sometimes, especially, I love these honest players. Like, I remember back in the Monarch format, I played against one gentleman in Seattle, and to this day, I still believe he is one of the nicest guy I've ever played, because a lot of things were happening in a chain, and then we misplayed it partially, but rather than like me just taking like, oh, now that I have the advantage, we're like, hold on, let's go back, let's actually revert it back to the point at the beginning of the chain, and then we resolved it one step at a time and actually fix the situation of where the situation was supposed to be. I really enjoy that, and not a lot of players do it because they accept what it is. And like most people, when they feel that they're screwed over, they call a judge over, and then the judge, well, they rule it in their favor, and they accept it. Remember, both players can appeal the rulings. So when that happens, just call a judge over, and hopefully everyone will play a very honest game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what I just want to get to. Alright, now for the third thing, it's about spectators. And a lot of you spectators don't know the entirety of what your roles are. So I'm actually going into the policy here in the Konami KDE TCG Tournament Policy version 1.4. And I'm looking at it right here. It says, and what page is this? Page 5 of 16. Spectators and spectating at an event is a privilege, not a right, for tournament attendees. I'm guessing you have to be in the tournament to actually do it. And it's a spectator's duty to remain neutral while observing gameplay and make sure that their presence does not disrupt the event. Fair enough. So in other words, just be a casual spectator. And then spectators should not speak to or communicate with players who are engaged in a match in any way. Okay, so it's should not. And then the next line is, however, if a spectator notices any violation of gameplay rules or tournament policy, so like bribing and all that stuff, he or she must alert a tournament official immediately. So, in other words, as a spectator, you guys kind of uphold the rules as well. I've seen in so many situations where players, they see that an illegal play has happened and they don't say anything because that person playing is their friend. Technically, what can happen here is if someone calls it out, both players can be called for cheating. Like, no one's maintaining the game state. You're not purposely not maintaining the game state because you want to win. And the spectating guy, well, he knows what's going on. He knows it's wrong. But, you know, these are kind of really gray areas because you can't really just say, oh, he saw it, he didn't say anything. But then you can kind of say something about it if they saw it the first time, they didn't call it out. But then they call it out the second time against the other guy when he tries to do something similar. Well, then, yeah, you can call it out. And then if the spectator is a player as well, they could probably also get into trouble as well. But I've noticed this far too much, whereas the spectator, when they see their friends losing, they try to cue them in. They're basically trying to cheat. And this is why I hate people playing behind me or like watching me play, is because I get a bit more nervous. So whenever I'm holding my cards, so I'm like a standard game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I have my cards. These are just a bunch of commons here. I'm holding my cards. And like I'm shuffling my hand. I usually hold my cards like this. In a way, the spectators behind me cannot see, and I can activate a hand trap whenever I want to be like, oh, activate. And just keep it like this. Keep it all in one stack. If they ask me, how many cards in your hand? Well, this is how many I have. You can count. You can count it. And then I just keep it like this. If they tell me to put it down and fan it out, well, I'll put it down and I'll fan it out. But I'm actually not going to do that permanently. I'll fan it out here. You can see it. And I'll put it back in my hand. Because if you fan out the cards and then they start making plays, you could miss your hand trap opportunity. I'm just saying that. But that's true. Okay, anyways. But like about spectators, just remember that spectators need to uphold the rules. A lot of you guys just know the part where it's just, yeah, don't say anything. And as a spectator, don't communicate in any way. Doesn't mean speaking. Don't even signal your friend. Like stand behind like the opponent and then like saying, oh, he's got max C, or maybe he's got solemn judgment or solemn warning, and he's got like a solemn, like, you know, when you use hand gestures to communicate, me as a person, I can't see any of that, and I actually feel pressure to hide more of my stuff, and then it actually distracts me. It's actually a very big distraction so try to avoid standing behind people. My friend Corbin, he stopped one of my friend's matches because a max C was activated. However, 3 draws were missed. Therefore, he immediately actually just told both players to stop playing, I'm calling a judge over, and that is okay. If you're gonna prevent an irreparable game state, the judge told you, like, the judge would say, like, yeah, you shouldn't have interfered with the game, but then when it comes to these kinds of situations, the judge will thank you for maintaining the situation and allow the state to be repairable, because any further, the game state would have been irreparable, and then both players would have been issued a loss at that point. So what are your thoughts about spectating? Should the spectator be able to interrupt games? I think it's fair. This is part of the policy, but hopefully that kind of educated you guys. For all the other topics, let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I really look forward to hearing your thoughts. And yeah, that is about it. I'm gonna go to my end phase and pass my turn. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.